The news continues in East Africa. The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission issued a report condemning the killing of numerous civilians by drone strikes and house-to-house searches in the Amhara region of Ethiopia. The report documented several incidents of extrajudicial killings, injuries, displacement, and property destruction by the government security forces and state militia. The report stated that government forces targeted civilians suspected of being associated with Fano, Amhara's nationalist militia that opposes the federal government's attempt to disband Amhara special forces. The reports further said the war was a genocide and ethnic cleansing against the people of Amhara. Of course, joining me on the news right now to shed more light on this is Dr. Senay, Director, Genocide Prevention in Ethiopia, GPE. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, great. This, of course, is a very disturbing, development right now. But we understand that there is a report by the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission alleging genocide in Amhara. Now, any proof to this particular allegation?
Thank you very much. So the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission is a human rights institution that is sanctioned by the Ethiopian government itself. It's after huge pressure, both because of advocates human rights and in general the diaspora abroad, and because of the dissatisfaction within the country, that they're actually forced to report on this. They didn't allude to that. More or less, they reported on some of the atrocities. However, organizations like ourselves and also the UN and other international human rights organizations have been highlighting that like human rights, gross violations of human rights that are amounting to genocide, with hallmarks of genocide and ethnic cleansing, have been happening against Amharas for the last 5 years. I mean, it's longer than that, but ever since this, reformed government took power, the attacks became more frequent, more horrific, and more targeted. So this report, to me, is more of something that came out of a lot of pressure as the truth is being reported elsewhere more prolifically.
Now, what do you suspect could be the reason behind the killings?
There is a huge background to the situation, which I would not go into now, which basically Ethiopia is led by ethnic-based apartheid or ethnic-based federalism that eventually was going to lead ethnic groups to war, each other. But the biggest problem is the ruling party itself is entrenched in ethnic hegemony. So Amharas have been targeted for the last 30 years, but within the last 5 years, the Oromo Prosperity Party-led ruling party has been continuously attacking this communities through either helping a proxy non-state actors or irregular militia and other liberation fronts, or by themselves deploying state army. In this specific case you mentioned earlier, around April, there was a plan to disband the Amhara Special Force. So it seemed like the whole thing started because of that, but that's only partial part of the truth. The truth is Amharas have been killed in the west part of Ethiopia, especially in places called Metakel and Welega, and during the 2-year war between November 2020 and November 2022, there was a raging war in the regions of Tigray, Amhara, and Afar. However, all the atrocities that have been happening in Amhara have not been covered that well. So there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of civilian death, there was a lot of atrocities, mass murders, and even specifically killing civilians after gunfire exchange stopped between combatants. So it looks like whenever the militia defeat the government forces, they take it out on civilians by going door to door and killing youth and anyone they believe might join the militia.
I mean, that's a rather very disturbing, revelation right now. But Ethiopia's been a bit stable until recent months. Now, what is the bone of contention this time around?
So basically, there are a lot of reasons like what we've discussed. The people saying, okay, it's enough. We're not just going to be killed, and in absolute silence. And that is the other one important factor, is that there's absolute silence from international, whether media, whether you call it allies. I mean, these are like allied countries that we went to war on terror with, the UN. There's a complete silence. So that pushed the Amharas to actually, pick up arms and defend themselves, because what's happening is continuous and frequent and consistent genocide, and using the actual armed forces of the country. So this is a matter of survival. Is people pushing back a certain final complete annihilation against them. On top of that, the federal government itself is under immense pressure to open up for national dialogue. It has an ethnic hegemonic intentions where they're pushing Amaras or other non-Oromos outside from the capital city, Addis Ababa. They have demolished over 110,000, mainly Amara homes. And this is really unprecedented, like having over 150 diplomatic missions exist in Addis Ababa. As you know, Addis Ababa is a home to many embassies, to many regional offices, the ECA, as well as the African Union. Right in front of their faces, 110 houses have been demolished in and around Addis Ababa. Over 100,000 people are incarcerated just because they are Amara. Like, this is typical Rwanda level, Holocaust level targeting. So like, people literally get picked up and get put in concentration camps. So earlier you asked me for evidence. At the GPE, we have collated, it's like a complete, as per the categories and the definitions of what genocide constitutes. We have the evidence, and we have been passing this on to the UN and other mandated organizations. So all this transgressions have been putting up political pressure on the government to control on this, to show more human rights considerations. So they are almost on a deadline to fix their Amara problem before they can get into a national dialogue. So definitely this puts Amaras in precarious situation.
Dr. Senay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right.